Islam. Welcome to my vlog, and let's start reading the papers today with a cup of coffee. So, the news today. So, this is Yediot Ahronoth. It's more right wing, and it has pictures contrary to Haaretz, which is not. So you have here. It says the strip is burning after relatively calm. It's interesting. Just after you have an interview with the Hamas leaders saying they don't want war, 20,000 Palestinians attacked the border and threw grenades and explosives towards the soldiers. 3 Palestinians were killed, amongst them a 12-year-old, in a giant fire in Eshkol. Nature again is being also murdered, not only people. So this is pictures. Palestinians burning tires, throwing stones and explosives. And this is the interview with the Haaretz made. There was quoted in world media. Hamas Gaza leader Sinwar discusses war quiet in the media with Israeli newspaper. There was an Italian reporter interviewing him, and he said Hamas is not interested in more wars, but he said, but it's getting ready for worsening of the situation. And they say they didn't know it would be published in Israeli paper. Because he saw it's very clearly biased, blah, blah, blah. And he says Hamas doesn't want, it's not in the interest of Hamas, another war. So he says one thing and acts another. And there's an interesting, okay, let's skip There was an interesting column which compared views. Different newspaper journalists talk about what they think about the interview. So that was interesting. Where is that? I was just reading that now. Different opinions about the interview. Let me see if I find it for you. Anyway, they were, whether you can trust them or not, the Hamas, there were journalists discussing the interview. So, let me see. Yes, here it is. I don't want more wars. Do you believe what Yahya Sinwar, the head of the Hamas, said in an interview to the newspaper? So one woman, Ariela Rinkel-Hoffman, said it's a last chance for change. He's not a friend of Israel. He's not interested in security. He sat in Israeli jail 23 years, and he came out of jail because there was an exchange for a soldier called Shalit, yeah? Otherwise, he would have stayed in jail till his last day on earth, and it was justified what he got, the prison sentence. But all this is not relevant to the message that he gave in an interview. He's giving Israeli alternatives and a solution. You can hate the man, but the bottom line is it's time to try what we didn't try so far, including a disengagement. The next war will be number 4, and it will probably end like 3 and 2 and 1. Thousands of dead, 10,000 hurt, a horrible destruction, and so it's probably Hamas can take advantage of and they could but the truth is Israel can have rockets 5 minutes. They can have rockets that will hit And then there will be people, and it's, if we focus, if the alternative is a painful concession, because no concession is without pain. Sorry, wait. She says he's sorry, they're cleaning the street. Is violent, dangerous merchant, but unfortunately he's holding the merchandise. Welcome to Israel. You see the intolerance now? This man doesn't care how noise affects him. This is the intolerance. Right, you're right. This is very typical. People just beep. And I don't know why the law doesn't give them fines. Anyway, Noach Klinger, a very, very, very well-known journalist. Noach Klinger, what does he say? He says, an ancient German saying says, I'm happy to hear your declaration, but I'm lacking the faith. And that's how it is about making peace with Israel. It's just illusions. He is a murderer, a mass murderer who sat in Israeli jails 23 years before being released 2011 for the exchange of a soldier. He is the symbol of the constant fights of a terrorist organization, Hamas, and the existence of the state of Israel. He's one of the first Al-Qassam activists sent to jail. He had life. He was sent for life. He had a life sentence in jail for murdering people that cooperated with Israel. So for murdering their own people. And he opens his heart for the Israelis, says war is not in the interest. An organization that every summer throws rockets on Israeli towns. So let's just not fall. The violent demonstrations in the weekend only prove there's no chance, there's no attempt for making concessions. Shh. די, מספיק שלי. Enough short. And Hamas, there's also threats. What does he really want? What is behind his double message? Palestinians are continuing to attack the fence, and most of his partners don't agree with what he says. Why is he saying? What is he talking about? In Israel, it's very clear that it's a snake that wants to. One hand, he's approaching the Israelis, and the other hand, rockets. So peace and ceasefire with the Palestinians, great. But first, recognize the state of Israel and her borders. Yes. So anyway. Yes, the dog is upset. Okay. I spent too much time on that. There are other things in the news. Melania is wearing a colonial. She's looking like a colonial person with her dress. Oh, yeah. Anyway, and other news is Amy Schumer has been arrested demonstrating against against the approval of Kavanaugh. On that matter, as I said, if it was a legitimate complaint, if there was anything of a real complaint, I would say okay, but you can't just come to a person and accuse him of something without any witnesses, nothing, and not just witnesses, just the credibility of her complaint was way off, and she had a huge political agenda, and that is not okay, even though I'm definitely with the liberals all the way. Sad news for me. This is the place where you might have seen exhibits. So graffiti, calling, it says in Hebrew, traitors, assuming an extreme right-wing organization has placed red graffiti at the Artists Association, where I go to exhibits quite often and active sometimes. Okay, what else? Bad news for Israel. They don't want the European soccer organization doesn't want the games broadcast in the Judea and Samaria, what's called occupied territories according to them, so they decide what the borders are. Isn't that great? Anyway, that's the Israeli team. We'll see what happens there. And Sarah Netanyahu is being investigated for ordering food in expensive restaurants. It's a bit absurd, but that's life. So this is the right, here's the left wing. We don't have that much time. I might continue it. So 300 security prisoners will be released. I don't know. And big picture of the protest outside the Senate. We believe all survivors. I don't know. Yes, but take responsibility also. If you get drunk and I don't know, what do you think exactly is going to happen? I mean, I don't know. I don't like any accusation is placed, like, makes headlines, and as much as it's important that every woman has a right to complain, yeah, I don't know. Good news.